Aloha friends, my name is Feena Bonoan and I am running for U.S. Senate to represent all of Hawaii and Washington. They say that a vote for a third-party candidate doesn't count, but I'm here to tell you friends, it does. And a vote for me will send a strong message to Washington that we are tired of the Jones Act, that we want marijuana legalized, and also that we want our Second Amendment rights. In fact, all of our rights, every single one of them. All the time. I'm Feena Bonoan, and I approve this message.
Aloha. My name is Bob McDermott. I'm running for U.S. Senate. I've served in the state legislature for 16 years. I'm married to a very beautiful local girl, have 8 kids, and about 11 grandchildren. I say 11 because it keeps changing every time I turn around. The numbers keep growing. As I said, I've served in the legislature for 16 years. As you might have seen me on the paper or the news this past year, my main effort has been Red Hill. I've led the fight to close that. And as a Republican and as an old Marine, I can assure you that if I hadn't come out and said, let's close it, and drug the congressional delegation kicking and screaming to that same conclusion, we wouldn't even be in discussions. But right now, there's still no closure date. I want you to know that. There's no closure date. A closure date requires, like they did for Barber's Point, you have to pass a law, a statute, and you have to attach money to it so you can close it. None of that's happened. They've gotten money to clean up their environmental mess that they made and make the military families who drank the poisoned water whole, or try to, and that will be for years. You think this Camp Lejeune water problem is big. It's nothing compared to what some of these families were exposed to with the Red Hill contamination. We're talking, they drank water 350 times the safe level of cancerous particulates in there. So it's really bad. No closure date. So don't let them buffalo you. Defueling is not decommissioning. It's just recycling the tanks. Defueling is not decommissioning. It's not a closure. There is no closure date. Don't let them tell you otherwise, because it ain't so. Inflation is a huge issue. Have you been to Sam's Club lately? Costco? I mean, that's where I shop with all those kids. What do you expect, right? Well, a tray of chicken used to be about $9, $10. Now it's $18. Why? Why has everything gone up so quickly? Well, inflation is a direct result of 2 things. One is profligate spending, and Biden has spent over $4 trillion since he's been in office. Some of that was needed, but certainly not most of it. And then you go to gas prices, oil and gas. Biden has a war on fossil fuel, which Senator Schatz is part of. They want you out of cars. They want you out of gas-powered cars, although they have no alternative, mind you, because there's not enough electric cars to go around, nor are there any charging stations, and there's a myriad of problems associated with them. But if it's to go to the supermarket and back during the middle of the day, you work at home or you're from homebound, that's fine. But other than that, it's not practical. Immigration. We all know someone who's been affected by the open borders, the flood of drugs, the victimization of women being raped and molested as they cross the border on their journey to the border. We're talking children, 7, 8-year-old girls. I can't believe their parents would let them go. But we are attracting them, and we are sentencing them to a life of misery because the cartels are in charge, not the American Border Patrol. Biden has opened the door wide open, and to say otherwise is not telling the truth. Finally, the social engineering in our schools. You've seen it across the country. Objectionable material coming in, being put in front of your children, things that you never heard of or even thought about for kindergarten, for first graders, for third grade. That is very troubling, and it's coming through the federal level. In the COVID relief bill, 20% of that went to the DOE, for education. The education portion, 20% of it was to the DOE for social environmental learning. And that's how they get the social engineering in. The materials parents can't review because they come in through the teachers union, HSTA, supplementary materials, telling the teachers how to teach these kids this stuff that we find objectionable, transgender ideology for kindergarten. I mean, we're still trying to potty train these kids for the most part, and we're teaching them complex sexual identity issues. No business in kindergarten or first grade. And they won't be if I'm your U.S. Senator. I'm Bob McDermott running for U.S. Senate. Please give me a chance. Aloha and God bless you all.
By now, you've probably heard a lot of politicians asking you for your vote. But here's how I'm different. I'm not a politician. I am a small business owner. I am also a veteran and served in the United States Air Force as an intelligence analyst. In 2004, I became an intelligence officer at the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. My responsibility was to ensure that our servicemen and women were adequately prepared with the right tools to succeed at their jobs by providing critical analysis of complex intelligence issues. My core values are faith, family, freedom, and fiscal responsibility. Faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, protecting our family and defending our children, preserving our freedom, and reinstituting fiscal responsibility. Government funds are your hard-earned dollars, paid into the system via taxes and borrowed at the expense of our keki's future. We must respect and honor that fact when deciding how those monies are spent. The job of any representative and government official is to be the voice of the people and to be held accountable as such. Our government is of, by, and for the people. As a servant leader, I'll never forget that. Let's just be honest. Our nation and our state is in decline. Legislation, like the inflation and infrastructure bills, funny money to special interests and bloated government agencies, instead of going to projects and people who really need it. Our nation has the highest rate of inflation in over 40 years. Our state is the most expensive state to live in the United States. Housing costs are 3 times the national average. Groceries cost nearly double what is paid for on the mainland. Our state is hostile to small businesses. Kanaka Maoli are overrepresented in prison, in serious health conditions, and in the homeless population. Let's get real. It's all of our fault. For one reason or another, we have allowed one political party to rule us for far too long. Absolute power corrupts absolutely is the maxim we have been living out for the last 70 years in Hawaii. So how do we fix this? It will not be easy, and it will not be fast. However, I am committed to fight for you and all of our ohana. Here are some of the ideas we have come up with after talking story with those in the community. Update and modernize the Jones Act. This includes upgrading Hawaii's ports to be federal ports of entry. This will create more higher paying jobs for Kama'aina, allow Hawaii's businesses to compete on a global stage, and make Hawaii a business hub. We need to reform the Hawaiian Homes Act by changing the blood quantum requirement to a genealogical requirement. We need to hold the state and Department of Hawaiian Homelands accountable and compel them to release more homelands for Kanaka Maoli. To ease the housing crisis, we need to enact a state resident requirement to purchase land or home and utilize innovative construction industry alternatives to reduce the cost of housing construction. We need to stop the spending spree of taxpayer dollars. We must operate within a balanced budget and end the continuing resolution authorization acts. Enacted legislation must be specific in outlining where federal tax dollars are spent. As it stands now, a big chunk of money earmarked for certain projects goes into a general fund where the state can divert some of those funds to special projects and special interest. Another key piece is to help restart Hawaii is you voting. I know many Kanaka Maoli do not vote because of the illegality of the overthrow, and I understand that. But what is happening is when Kanaka Maoli do not vote, other people who do not understand our struggles and our heritage are making decisions for us. I encourage you to vote. Your vote in this election is critical to our future. We must stand up and take action. We can create a Hawaii where we all thrive and prosper. We will not bend, we will never give in, and we will never give up. We will do what is right for all of our ohana and our keiki. There is no challenge we cannot meet together, and it's time for a change. But I cannot do this without your help. Please consider sharing your time and talent and visit joeakana.com. Mahalo for taking the time to watch this. May God bless you and your ohana, and don't forget to vote in person. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Sylvia Luke, and I have the great honor of being the Democratic Party nominee for Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii. Mahalo to Ōlelo for providing me with an opportunity to speak to you about the future of Hawaii and the role I hope to play in solving some of our toughest problems. For those who do not know much about me, I came to Hawaii from South Korea at the age of 9 years old. Like so many immigrants, my parents were looking for a better life for our family, and we found opportunity here. I started 5th grade at Kaumanu Elementary School without knowing any English at all, but I had a homeroom teacher who refused to send me to a ESL class. She sat with me every day after school on her own time and taught me English. She gave the foundation to succeed in school. I received a wonderful education in our public school system, and I am a proud graduate of Roosevelt High School and the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Unfortunately, my father became ill when I was in high school, and my mother became the primary breadwinner for our family. But she had a church community gave her strength. And through her devotion to her church, she showed me and my brother and my sister the value of service to others. That example led me into public service, and I served for 24 years as a member of the State House of Representatives, where I learned much about our communities and the challenges that they face. The people of Hawaii embody grace, compassion, and generosity that are part of our aloha spirit. It is what is best about Hawaii. I benefited from that as a young immigrant, and it will be at that core of what I do as Lieutenant Governor. We all know the important issues we face here. We don't have enough housing at affordable prices for our local residents. We need to control the cost of living. We need to make sure that all our keiki have equal access to education. We need the same equal access to reliable, high-speed internet so that everyone has access to telemedicine or remote learning. And we need to make sure that we address the challenges of climate change and protect our natural resources. We can begin making progress on these issues immediately. We will be able to begin building new classrooms for preschool and childcare so that every child will have the same foundation for success in kindergarten, and parents will not have to spend hundreds of dollars every month for childcare expenses. We will be able to begin building more Hawaiian homesteads. We have structures in place to address the need to manage the impact of tourism on our islands and implement systems to protect our natural resources. What it will take is teamwork and a strong partnership between a governor and the lieutenant governor who are committed to action. For us to move forward as a community, every sector of our community needs to work together. The governor and the lieutenant governor must work with the state legislature and our state employees, the counties, and with private and nonprofit agencies, and with our community leaders. We must make sure that all perspectives are understood and agree on the path moving forward together. We have always believed that the right lieutenant governor can be a partner to the governor, a link to the legislature, and a channel to our communities. The right lieutenant governor can manage the initiatives that will get us started on the better life we all want and deserve. With your support, Dr. Josh Green and I can move Hawaii forward. Mahalo for this time. Aloha.
Aloha. My name is Seaula Jr. Tupai, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. First of all, I want to thank all the people who voted for me in the primary election. During our campaign, I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you face to face and had the privilege of sitting with you to hear your ideas and concerns for these islands. And it was at one of these meetings that a mother gave me a simple yet profound analogy. She explained that as a wife and a mother, she's willing to go to different stores to find the best value for her family. One store will lower their prices today, then another store would offer a better deal the next. Because of this, she's able to get the best value for her family. After her story, she asked me, if we can see this balance that businesses provide their consumers, then why can't the same be true for the people and their government? For the past 6 decades, with the exception of the Lingo Iona administration, our state has been out of balance. Our two-party system is non-existent. We've had a one-party rule for nearly 60 years, and what has it gotten us? Our cost of living continues to skyrocket. Corruption is rampant in our state offices. Our college graduates are leaving in droves in search of better job opportunities elsewhere. And our state constantly ranks towards the bottom in education, business-friendly environment, and affordable housing. Not only are many of our younger families considering leaving Hawaii, but even some kupuna can no longer afford the cost of living here and are now contemplating leaving as well. Sadly, these situations have become all too common. Time and time again, I've been asked, why is Hawaii like this? The simple fact is that there are no checks and balances. The people of Hawaii are not getting the best value. This is why I've decided to run. Our younger families deserve to know that they can afford to own a home and raise their families here. Our college graduates need to know that they can make a living with good-paying jobs that can sustain a realistic living situation. Our children should be afforded the best education that will prepare them to not only be competitive in the job market, but to potentially become invaluable stakeholders as entrepreneurs in our community. The people of Hawaii deserve to know that the men and women they put in office are full of integrity. You deserve public servants that you can trust, who are not beholden to special interest groups, but men and women who have their allegiances with you, the people. If elected, your voice and your vote will not be taken for granted. We will work to find solutions to address many of Hawaii's long-standing issues. We will look at all facets of government, addressing discrepancies within our state bureaucracies, but also acknowledging best practices that have worked and look to improve them. Most importantly, we will work together across party lines to bring checks and balances to our government. Einstein once said, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results." Our state cannot take another 4 years of the same policies, rhetoric, and empty promises. Please join me to bring balance to Hawaii. My name is Seaula Jr. Tupai, and with a humble heart, I ask for your vote. Mahalo and aloha.
Aloha, I'm Brickwood Galuteria, candidate for trustee at large on the board of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Over the last decade, I've had the privilege of serving as a Hawaii state senator. Working alongside dedicated, talented men and women has been the honor and experience of a lifetime. As public servants, we're trained to analyze and understand issues, evaluate different parties' ideas and positions, and come up with solutions that work for the greater good. To me, that's the essence of public service. Among the mix of skills and experiences, I bring value in the area of civic engagement, the knowledge of governance, and the subtleties of how government works. I understand the give and take required when crafting public policy and have the ability of bringing people together to find common ground. Creating broad policy is a complex, visionary process. Fiscally, as a former member of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, I've been closely involved with crafting the state's annual multi-billion-dollar budget. In addition, I've served as chair of the Senate Committees on Tourism and Hawaiian Affairs. These assignments provided access and input over the annual budget of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I have a duty of care ethos, which is at the heart of everything I do, both as a retired state senator and a board member of several nonprofit organizations serving the disabled, disenfranchised, or supporting Hawaii's arts and culture. Since entering this campaign, I'm often asked, what are OHA's top priorities, and how would you help tackle them? Well, OHA fulfills its mandate through the following priorities: advocacy, research, community engagement, land management, and the funding of community programs. It's doing what it can to attain each mission. No priority is more important than the other. All have equal standing as far as I'm concerned. To that end, OHA can, must, and will do more. I'll add one more priority: strengthen OHA's political effectiveness. As a legislator, I would often observe Native Hawaiians' inability to speak in a cohesive fashion, to speak from the same playbook. Mixed signals do not bode well in politics. Conversely, a disciplined voting bloc, policymakers have no choice but to acknowledge Kanaka concerns. Let us strengthen, mobilize, and amplify the Kanaka vote. I'll conclude with this. OHA is acknowledged, at least by those who created it back in 1978, as the fourth branch of Hawaii state government, co-equal to the executive, legislature, and judiciary. In receiving the full measure of that acknowledgement, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs will further fulfill its mission to Kanaka Maoli and all who call Hawaii home. Again, what is good and right for Hawaiians is good for all Hawaii. Finally, let me provide an example of our community work to implement a project, initiative, or program and the outcomes for the community. During my first term as state senator, born out of an unfortunate situation affecting a Kupuna family member, I created a platform called Kupuna Power, with multiple tracks that seek to educate and empower Hawaii's elderly. What is Kupuna Power? Kupuna Power is about seniors of all ethnicities, backgrounds, faiths, persuasions, a helpful reminder about civic engagement, Medicare, long-term care. It's about making a positive experience and a positive difference and meaningful impact in people's lives both now and in the future. To amplify most of those points, Kupuna must know the resources needed for their support, resources that help them assume responsibility for decisions and actions, and in doing so, find your Kupuna power and become self-advocates, empowering ourselves with the knowledge of what resources are available to us from the state, the city, federal government, and the private sector. In closing, now as a retired state senator, I believe the most important service I have to offer Hawaii will occur in the coming years, and I want to be able to do that as thoughtfully and independently as I did the 10 years of my state Senate career. My decades of experience in public service, business, and the arts show my tireless commitment to Hawaii's people and demonstrate that I will give my best to this trusteeship through proven civic and social understanding. That's what I'd like to do. My request to you is that you do your civic duty and vote. To that end, I ask for your vote. Brickwood Galuteria for OHA Trustee at Large. Mahalo no hua and aloha.
Hello, mai kako. I am Sam Kalanikupua King. Kalanikupua is the Hawaiian name my grandfather gave to me, and it means the chief with mana. My grandfather gave me this name as a reminder of my kuleana to serve our community. I was born and raised in Kaneohe on the island of Oahu. My two boys were born here on Oahu, as was my wife, whose grandfather served in the 442nd and is buried at Punch Bowl, a few yards away from my grandfather and great-grandfather. My family has deep roots in these islands, from my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Kalani Ho'ulumoku Kekai, a chief of Oahu, to my great-great-grandfather, who served as the Minister of the Interior in the Republic of Hawaii, to his son, Samuel Wilder King, the first Native Hawaiian governor of the territory of Hawaii, and his wife, my great-grandmother, Pauline Navihine Okalai Evans, who served in the court of Queen Liliuokalani. To my grandfather, federal judge Samuel P. King, who authored Broken Trust, helping to expose the corruption at Bishop Estate, and to my parents, Sam and Adrian King, who are active attorneys of long standing in our community. It is from my family, and especially my parents, that I learned the value of hard work and the importance of community service above service to self. There are many ways to serve, however, and not all of them involve public office, so why run for OHA? OHA is rapidly becoming one of the most influential institutions in the state. OHA occupies a moral center because of its status as the elected entity meant to speak for Native Hawaiians. As such, the story OHA tells about Hawaii and America matters. The story I want to tell is a story of democracy, of equality before the law, and religious freedom. And this is a story grounded in the foundational history of our kingdom and our state. Kamehameha began the process of creating equality before the law with Ke Kalawai Ma Malahoi, the law of the splintered paddle, whereby he decreed that ali'i could no longer attack innocent maka'inana along the road. He continued this tradition by making John Young and Isaac Davis, who were not born here prior to 1778, into chiefs because of the content of their character and not the color of their skin. Kamehameha II, Queen Kahumanu, and Queen Keopuolani promised us religious freedom when they overthrew the oppression of the Kapu theocracy, and Kamehameha III began our journey to democracy by limiting his power as king with a written constitution. In that constitution, he enshrined equality before the law, declaring, God hath made of one blood all nations of men to dwell on the earth in unity and blessedness. Democracy, freedom of religion, equality before the law, these are the principles of government that I wish to preserve and pass on to my keiki. This history, my kupuna, my ohana, my keiki, all of it informs my positions on the sensitive but critical topics facing OHA today. Start with self-determination. As a Native Hawaiian, I am proud to be Hawaiian and American. I believe that we as a people are part of the greatest democracy the world has ever known, and we exercise self-determination every year when we vote in our elections. I do not believe that OHA spending money on efforts to create a race-based tribe only for Native Hawaiians or to sever Hawaii from the United States betters the condition of Native Hawaiians. And it is OHA's mandate to better the condition of Native Hawaiians based on the ceded lands given back to our state by the federal government in the Admissions Act. What I believe will better the condition of Native Hawaiians is a focus on bread and butter, salt and poi issues facing Native Hawaiians today, such as early childhood education, housing, and jobs. Early childhood education means investing in our keiki, which means investing in our future. OHA should shift resources to this cycle of poverty-breaking policy. Concerning housing, it is no secret that Native Hawaiians and all our keiki o ka'aina are being priced out of paradise. OHA should advocate for more mixed income housing for all the people of Hawaii, including at Kaka'ako Concerning jobs, economic diversification is the key to bringing jobs to Hawaii. We can do this by embracing exciting low-carbon industries like our astronomy sector. We can perpetuate our culture of celestial navigation and natural observation while building world-beating projects like the 30-meter telescope. To find out more about my position on these issues, please visit my website at votesamking.com, and please vote for me, Sam Kalanikupua King, as your next OHA trustee at large. Mahalo nui loa.